Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. There's a couple of things to cover, but in today's video, I want to take a look at Montello overall, the crime rate, the type of crimes, and some of the statistics, okay? Just to get an understanding, because I know with time there's been a few figures thrown around, whether it be the population or the percentage of people who are paedophiles within the area, etc. We're going to take a closer look at that, as well as a few articles of individuals. Main reason why I want to do this additionally is just to see if there's any links or patterns, because the recent talk, aside from the whole, gay relationship thing, which is still ongoing, if you look at on Tyler Feller's latest live stream video, I think it was, with Jim Terry was talking about how, well, when Ellen was on the phone during that interview on the Salty Pancakes live stream, Ellen was obviously drunk and she kept drinking and was a bit, out of it and angry at the same time. But Jim was patient and let her carry on talking, because obviously when you are drunk, when you do drink alcohol, you tend to reveal the truth because you're not, in fully control. And Ellen said something about at the casino, Candice, Dylan's mother, was there, started chatting, and Candice revealed saying, yeah, my son is gay, and so on and so on. So Jim supposedly has said that reinforces it, that proves that Dylan was or just is gay in general. So maybe that, lights certain flames or certain ideas again, ignites new theories or updates some. Let me know what you think in the chat about all of that, about Jim Terry, the whole gay theory, and Candice confessing, saying Dylan is gay to Ellen, who's some kind of drunk individual who's been around a lot of individuals, a lot of body count and so on. But obviously we're not here for that. But you get the idea of certain ideas coming and going, and that's current trend. The second one being paedophiles. And just to throw in from what was said previously, you had near the school of Montello and like the neighbourhood around, people within, police came round, kicked some of the doors in of the people that live in the area and making arrest from the sounds of it, and one of which was a fireman or an ex-fireman. So it just goes to show it's one of those things where, no matter, even if you're in a certain job role, certain position, even though you might be seen as a saviour, a good person, doesn't matter, you still get dodgy people. And do you know what? I think before we continue any further, I could just bring up like a brief example, okay? Just a rough one, okay? So if you want a little story time, I'll bring it up now, okay? So this is an example in the UK, a place called Hampstead or something, some kind of like community, some kind of place where you've got a school, a church, a police station nearby, and supposedly they were all in on it together, and it was to do with, at the church, and doing inappropriate things to babies, sacrifices, and even inappropriate stuff towards some of the children that were targeted and involved in certain acts, okay, within the church. So doing rituals, slitting, draining blood, touched, things being inserted, so on, that sort of stuff. And the school or the teachers, the head teacher, was aware of that sort of stuff but didn't really care because they were a part of it in some way. The police as well didn't really seem to do much either. They were a bit dodgy. It's that idea, okay? The idea, the concept of you in a close-knit community, you know each other very well. So when bad things do happen, they remain on the inside. They're not exposed outwards until it's probably too late down the line once the truth does come out in the news or wherever. That could be a Montello situation, you know what I'm saying? With the whole paedophiles, sex offenders and other dodgy stuff going on. Obviously, there will be some good people in the area or the outer skirts, yeah, that will always be the case. But there's a higher chance of a concentrated group of criminals or ex-criminals in that area due to the fact that there's less police presence or policing most of the time. And as what people have previously said, criminals and ex-criminals are leaving other places, states, borders, and moving over to Montello. So there must be a reason for it, right? So with that in mind, and continuing on from what was previously talked about in either my last video or the video before that, we're going to continue it, and we're going to begin with like the odd website I found which seems to give statistics on the area itself. Let me share that with you now. Okay, so the website AreaVibes, which gives an overview, review and rating of the place Montello, Nevada. Let's take a look. So, overview, livability 60, which I assume is out of 100. Cost of living B-. Employment D, which isn't good. Schools F, which is very bad. Amenities F, bad. Crime A+, that's bullshit. Housing F, user rating D+. Now the reason why crime is rated so good is because of it not being recorded or reported on here. As you can see, it says not available. And as we've seen and heard, there is crime in the area. So forget about that stat, that's just a load of bollocks. But the cost of living, B-, so. I mean, you look at the buildings, you look at the properties, it's probably not as demanding. If there's people like of much older ages, I don't know like what the money situation would be. Employment D, I can imagine it being fairly low because I said if there's more retired people there, from what other people have said, then obviously they're not going to be working, so that would make sense. Schools F, there is a school there, so it makes you think, why is it so bad, the rating? Is it because poor education, people are failing and not passing? Or is it the actual experience there, like are the dodgy, creepy people, not just in the neighbourhood, but also running the school? That's one thing. The housing F, I guess, is that to do with the quality of the houses maybe? So it doesn't sound too good. So it doesn't sound too good, but let's just move on to another site. Now the next one is called Best Places, and we'll check the overview. I've got the screen this way because when I tried it the other, it fucked it up. So some of these stats might be wrong, they might be outdated, you can let me know in the chat. We're just doing it quickly, okay? Just get a little idea. Population 46, minus 25% since 2020. Now, previous stats I've heard in the chat elsewhere was like 250, so this seems awfully low. Unemployment rate 3.3%. Median income $15,000. Median home price $290,000. Median age 72.2. Now the age one I can understand because from what I've seen in certain comments by people have been saying it's retired people just living there. So yeah, comfort index climate 8.1/5.1. Okay, what's further down? Cost of living 4.1% higher. Highlights the economy. The unemployment rate in Montello is 3.3%. US average is 6%. Recent job growth is positive. Montello jobs have increased by 0.4%. Now, how's that happened? Is it because of farming? More people are taking up farming in the area. Other trades, mining maybe, trucking. Just trying to think, that sort of stuff maybe. Cost of living. Compared to the rest of the country, Montello's cost of living is 4.1% higher than the US average. Weather and climate. June, September and May are the most pleasant months in Montello, while December and January are the least comfortable months. Is that because of the coldness? Or voting. In the last presidential election, Elko County remained overwhelmingly Republican, 76.2% to 20.7%. Montello's population is 46 people since 2020. It's had a population decline of 25%. Transportation. Average commute time is 31.3 minutes. National average is 26. Real estate. Okay. Schools. Montello schools spend $10,000 per student. The average school expenditure in the US is $12,000. There are about 18 students per teacher in Montello. Okay. Anything else? No, that's pretty much it. So I don't really give that much away, to be fair. Have I missed anything? Is there any other key things? Religion. Let's take a look at that once it decides to load. Religion in Nevada. 40.5% of the people in Montello are religious. 4.5% Baptist. 0.6% Episcopalian. 14.2% Catholic. 1% Lutheran. 0.2% Methodist. I can't say these names. 0.6% are Pentecostal. 1% are Presbyterian. 16.7% are Church of Jesus Christ. 1.8% are another Christian faith. 0% Judaism. 0% Eastern faith. 0% with Islam. Okay, so there you go. Did you know, according to some estimates, there are roughly 4,200 religions in the world? Wow. Did I ask? No. So there you go. That's just a little graph if you want to see it yourself to do with the religion. Anything else? Religion map? No, thank you. So that's it for that. If it'll let me scroll back up. What else is there? We've done the politics one. People and stats. We'll do that one last just in case. Let's do crime because that's obviously the main one. See how it compares to the last website, which gave virtually nothing away. Crime in Montello. Crime is ranked on a scale of 1, low crime, to 100, high crime. Montello violent crime is 56.3, also known as Jim Brenner contributing for most of that. I'm only joking. The US average is 22.7, so there's a big difference, right? Much higher in Montello. Montello property crime, 36.2. US average, 35.4. So a little bit more balanced there, but still above average. Now, you think about it, it's expected for violent crime to be much higher than property crime in a way. When you look at the reports and the news, you know, Dylan Rounds going missing, the possible outcome of that. Paedophiles being arrested, sexual assault cases, police in recent time, which was relayed on Salty Pancakes channel about going to the post office in Montello, kicking doors in the neighbourhood because of creepy people near the school. So stuff like that. But then again, the property crime is still above average, and that can be taken into mind like Jim Brenner, Chase Venstra, Robert Avilés with burglary, stealing firearms from other properties and so on. And, you know, other people within the area who add to those stats and figures. So you get an idea here. It gives a better idea. Anything else? Well, you do have a graph here. And I think we can select it one by one. So click on murder first of all. The murder rate, crime rate per 100,000 population. Now, the population supposedly is 46, so it's not exactly a good one to base it off. But then again, we have seen it over 200 people living there. But you look at the graph, basically up and down. Biggest spike was 2006 to 2008, in between there. And then it went down and went way back up in 2018. The next one, not the best way of wording it, but it seems to be a popular crime that, yeah, much higher in 2016, and to be honest, it probably would have remained quite high in recent time too, with all the reports of stuff going on. Robbery, there you go. Assault, quite high. Property crimes, burglary, larceny, and auto theft, which is a bit lower. So yeah, there you go. And then the last one, the people in Montello, the population, okay. There are 116 people per square mile, aka population density. Median age in Montello is 51.5. The US median is 37.4. So, okay, much more older people living there. Number of people per household in Montello is 1.3. The US average of people per household is 2.6. Family in Montello, 77.1% are married. And the rest say 0. 100% are white. Okay. So, you can see where it starts emerging, the Montello lot in the orange. 45 to 54, 40%. 65 to 74, 60%. So that checks it out. Okay, what's this? People, population. Montello, okay. Female population 20, male population 80. Okay. Yeah. Medium 72.2. So in 2020, 46. 2010, 60. 2083. And after that it went backwards. Yeah. Married, 40. It's not that important, this stuff, so let's move on. As awkward as this camera angle is, it best represents what I think of that previous article, just a load of shit, okay? I'll be honest, it wasn't that helpful. I just wanted to use it maybe as a bit of context behind Montello, if you didn't know certain stuff. But hell, some of it might be outdated, or most of it may. But let's get into more relevant recent stuff, okay? We're going to look at individual suspects, criminals who have been caught or on the run, whatever it is. Just read the articles. Kind of like with Robert Aviles, I think it's the same website as last time. So let's get into him now. I think there's about 3 or 4 different cases, okay? So it says a Montello man charged with assault on a child. I guess that's the courthouse he appeared in. It reads, a Montello man is facing a single count of assault of a person under the age of 13 in Columbia County. Okay, so I assume that's still in Montello, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Thomas A. Tierney, 24, was charged last week with felony first-degree assault and contact with a person under the age of 13. If convicted, he faces up to 40 years in prison, followed by up to 20 years of extended supervision. According to online records, Tierney remains in custody at the Columbia County Sheriff's Department, being held on a $2,000 cash bond. At his initial appearance on March 21, Columbia County Judge Troy Cross set Tierney's bond and standard felony conditions, including no unsupervised contact with any females under the age of 18. According to the criminal complaint, Portage police officer took a complaint on March the 6th regarding a possible sexual assault in the city. So there is a picture of him, but it doesn't want to show. People are also reading, on March the 9th, a Portage police detective observed a forensic interview of a 10-year-old victim at the Columbia County Department of Health and Human Services. The victim said they were watching a movie at their home with Tierney. Tierney allegedly took off his belt, and unzipped, and had the victim sit on his lap. The victim said Tierney's pants were pulled down to his knees and was moving the victim around on his lap while watching TV. The victim said this had happened once before. The detective observed another interview with a 7-year-old who was identified as the witness in the complaint. The witness said Tierney was allegedly touching his things. In an interview with police, Tierney said he babysat the victim and witness and admitted he watched movies with the pair. Tierney is set to be back in court in May for a pre-trial conference. So this individual, Tierney, has done quite a few bad things, and although it might have not been directly in Montello, he's a Montello man, so he's been born, raised there and gone elsewhere. And it makes you think, something in Montello must have influenced him, possibly, to act in such ways that it's acceptable to be like that when it's not elsewhere. You get what I'm saying? Could it be the environment, or just like how they're brought up by the parents in that area? They aren't taught what's right or wrong. With all the criminals and activity going on in Montello, it might be seen as a norm there. So when people are growing up, they see that as normal and do it themselves, but elsewhere, where it's not allowed or more stricter. So that's one way of looking at it. That's one individual. Let's move on to the next person. So here's the other article, similar title, Montello man charged with assault of a child. We go down. Montello man remains in custody after being arrested for assault of a child in May. Kyle J. Wilcox, 25, has been charged with first-degree assault of a child and contact with a person under the age of 13. If convicted, he faces 40 years in prison and followed by up to 20 years of extended supervision. Now, the way this is worded, it sounds very similar to the last one, but this is a different person and 1 year older, which is interesting. Online records show Wilcox is a registered sex offender and has been since 2016. At his initial appearance, Judge Todd Hepler set Wilcox cash bond at $50,000 with standard felony conditions. According to the criminal complaint filed in May 24th, on May 18th, Columbia County Sheriff Detective observed an interview at the Safe Harbor Child Advocacy Center with an 11-year-old. The victim said Wilcox had touched them inappropriately on the thigh and buttocks. Wilcox was interviewed by officers about the incident. Wilcox told officers he is currently on probation and is not supposed to have unsupervised contact with minors without approved chaperones. People are also reading, Wilcox initially denied touching the victim, but later allegedly said he got up during the night but could not remember what happened. Wilcox is scheduled to be in Columbia County Court on June 27th for a pre-trial conference. Now this one says, Elko man arrested on felony battery charge May 31st, 2022. Scroll down to where it actually says it. An Elko man was arrested Friday on charge of domestic violence battery with substantial bodily harm after he allegedly bear-hugged a woman 1/3 his size and threw her over his shoulders onto the floor. The alleged victim provided police with documentation from the hospital showing that she suffered fractured vertebrae in her spine. The woman sustained other injuries according to an officer's report, but was able to go to a neighbour's house to hide and call for help. Daniel C. Cox, 48, was not at the residence when police arrived, but later turned himself in at the police station. He was booked into Elko County Jail with bail listed at $20,000. So this is a different type of crime, obviously. But you see that pattern throughout, and I'll come to that conclusion at the end. When I was first reading this, when it said an Elko man, I thought they meant Robert Aviles because it didn't mention the exact name, but down below it says Daniel C. Cox, 48 years old. Now, up to now, the assault ones and the inappropriate, indecent behaviour people, what I just mentioned before, I don't know if YouTube censors certain words, okay, so, they were about 24, 25, much younger, bit of a surprise in a way. And yet the more violent crime, more physical, it seems to be by older guys, 48 years old. Chase, however old he is. Jim, 58, and so on. So that's kind of interesting now. You thought it might have been the other way around, just based off physicality of oneself, but And lastly, this one, Wells man arrested on meth charges in downtown Elko, May the 5th, 2022. So with it being May, that is the month Dylan went missing. So it's just worth looking out for those dates in between. There we go, where is that? Elko, a Wells man who has been arrested on drug charges 4 times in the past 3 years, was arrested again early Thursday morning in downtown Elko on a charge of possessing methamphetamine for sale. Douglas R. Berkebile, 61 years of age, was pulled over by police around 2:50 a.m. after driving away from a motel. Police said they recognised him from booking photos and knew he did not have a driver's licence. According to an officer's statement, they searched him and found a plastic lid with a brown and clear wet substance on its face, which police said is known to have been used for mixing illicit substances. A search of the vehicle also turned up several tadpoles of meth in the driver's side door compartment, each weighing 2.5 to 3 grams. Also, police said the quantity and packaging of the meth indicated an intent to sell, and that individuals will often sell illicit controlled substances at casinos during late hours of the night. Berkebile was booked on 1 felony count of possession of a controlled substance and 1 count of selling, transferring, or attempting to sell a contraband substance. His bail was listed at $25,000. 2 passengers were in the vehicle. One of them, Kaikalani D. Joseph, 42 years old, of Wells, was also arrested for felony possession of a controlled substance. According to Elko County Jail records, Berkebile was arrested July 7, 2019 in Carlin for trafficking a controlled substance, July 16, 2019, and on Interstate 80 for felony possession of a controlled substance, August 26, 2019 at Northeastern Nevada Regional Hospital for possession with intent to sell a controlled substance, and April 7th, 2022 on Lamoille Highway for felony possession of a controlled substance. Go down a little bit. The Nevada Department of Corrections lists a 2008 conviction for drug trafficking and a 2017 sentence in Elko County for felony possession. Berkebile also received a prison sentence in 2010 for theft and 2011 for assault with a deadly weapon. He was sentenced twice in 2014 for being a habitual criminal, but both cases were overturned. According to jail records, Joseph was also arrested January 1st in Wells for felony possession of a controlled substance and failure to appear after bail on a misdemeanor crime. Her bail on Thursday's charge were listed at $5,000. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so some people might be wondering, how does this link to Dylan Rounds at all? Like, where are the links? But it's one of those things where, yeah, these are individual, separate crimes and stuff going on. But then equally, you could say the same about Jim Brenner and Chase Venstra in terms of why they're in jail or in custody, primarily because of the gun charges, despite being a felon at the same time. So that's the main reason there. And then they're being questioned too, whilst evidence is ongoing and the investigation for Dylan. So you can say the same here about these criminals as well, with the drug trafficking, the physical attacks on people, and the indecent stuff with younger, like children. But what this video is trying to do is highlight, with the use of examples and actual articles of, specific people doing certain crime, because we've heard it just being talked about very loosely, Montello, criminals here and there, crime going on, but what exactly and when, and do we have any real examples, proper ones? And that's what I wanted to do, share that with you in this video, with the odd bit of statistics, whether it's questionably inaccurate or not. Just wanted to share it with you because that's all I could find at this point in time, okay? Can any of this be tied with Dylan? Well, yeah, because you look at the type of crimes which have been mentioned in this video, and could any of them compromise Dylan or put him in danger in any way? Well, look at the paedophile thing first, and the assaults and stuff with certain people. Let's just use this as an example, a rough one, okay? So, is there any key people within the mystery who have been associated with a crime like that, or being that type of individual to do crimes like that? Well, some people have pointed out saying Kurt Wadsworth is an example, being a paedophile. So if it was him and a group of people, let's just say, maybe the brothers as well, there's some kind of militia. I've heard that being mentioned recently. Some kind of militia, which includes Kurt Wadsworth, out there to get people in whatever shape or form. And maybe if you get in their way and, you're going to report them, you're going to reveal the truth, they're going to come after you and make sure you keep your mouth shut. Some people were saying that Chase Venstra, no shoes on, bloodied, that he was running away trying to escape from that militia. Dylan picked him up, rescued him. Chase told Dylan about the militia and what they're known for and what they participate in. And then Dylan was supposedly going to report him to the police or somebody, but then Dylan must have got tracked down, kidnapped, silenced, physically, mentally, who knows? So that's one way. That's more indirect. You come across a certain type of people or a ring that are participating in, pedophilia, is that what you call it? And certain types of assault and indecent action and behaviour with younger people. You get in the way of those people and you act on it to get justice, you could get put in danger, or you put yourself in danger. That's a better way of wording it. And that could have happened with Dylan. Let me know what you think in the chat with that theory. That's just one idea, okay? The second one, to do with the drugs, okay? You've seen it with Robert Aviles. Now you've seen it with this 61-year-old. Trafficking drugs across the border, maybe, from different states, or just within Montello. Let's just say Dylan got caught up in it. How though? Well, he might have seen something he wasn't supposed to. He might have come across a drug dealer. There could have been a confrontation, a disagreement, whatever that may be. And then Dylan was dealt with. He was silenced. Once again, that could happen. Wrong place, wrong time. If it wasn't that, it could have even been to the extent of Dylan being forced or blackmailed into doing something he didn't want to do. Delivering drugs, trafficking, And he was like, no, I don't want any of that. And because he refused, he turned it down. They took him out. That's another possibility, okay? The final one, to, I guess, you just call it the physical part, the physicality, more to do with the assault, as you saw with that 48-year-old, where he bear-hugged a woman or something. Other examples, Jim Brenner being physically violent towards certain people. Maybe Chase as well. Dylan could have come across wrong person, wrong time again. Could have been at the bar and got ambushed. It could have been direct, confrontation, or indirect, such as people hearing that he's got money on him, supposedly. Or people going searching, looking for that money, then confronting Dylan, getting into a scuffle, fighting, retaliating with violence and force, silencing Dylan. You see what I'm getting at? Different levels and different types of crime which could involve Dylan in some way in which he's in the wrong place, the wrong time, and bad things happen. That's the way I'm wording it. I think the overall takeaway message from this video is there are good people out there, but there are also bad people out there who probably do much worse than maybe other states because they might have more freedom in what they can do and get away with. So that's worth taking into mind. It does make me think with the whole, assault stuff on the younger people, as well as the paedophiles within the area. The school seems to be right next to the church. Do you think there's any dodgy stuff going on right there? Do you like what I said when I told that story earlier on about Hampstead? Is there any inappropriate things going on within the school or church in Montello? What do you think? Because that could be a bad thing in its own right, okay? And as for other missing people, not been able to find the names of the other missing people yet, but if they're of a certain age, let's say 11 or under, then it could be like, well, that could tie with the whole, paedophile case thing, and there's like a ring going on, trafficking, abduction, kidnapping, and stuff like that. It is loosely said that because there isn't enough evidence at this moment in time to really back it up or reinforce it, but I'm just pointing these things out because although the Dylan Rounds case is important and it seems to be the main focus at this moment in time, there might be subsections of other cases going on or other missing people, and they just so happen to tie together in some way or another. You never know. So I think I'll leave it there. Probably, I'll be honest, not the best video, not the longest, but just wanted to fill this little gap in, like the backstory information of Montello, and just reinforcing, real-time examples, individual cases of crime within the area, or at least people who have once lived, been born in Montello, and then gone on to other places, other states, and done crime. Because at the end of the day, to an extent, how you're brought up, primary, secondary forms of socialization and interaction and all that, and the environment you're in and how you're brought up and grown in, that can shape who you are as a person, your mindset, your thoughts, your feelings, how you act, how you react, what's good, what's bad. And if that's corrupted in any way, whether it be through trauma or like seeing things you shouldn't have to see, experiencing stuff you shouldn't have to, and that becoming normal within your mind, that conditioning, you might be more likely to perform and reenact those acts and those actions towards other people when it's not acceptable, but to you it is, because that's all you know. That's what I'm getting at. And if Montello is like a breeding ground for chaos, crimes, and all kinds of dodgy stuff, not with everyone, but a fair few people, then it can have a knock-on effect and spread out when people do move on or might go to a different state and visit. And so crime can spread that way. Let me know what you think down below about that, okay? That's it for now. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.